All right, so how do you beat everyone else? That's not the point of life, is it? But we're gonna talk about it anyway. I think a lot about this. I think about this more than I probably should. But as a strategist, I think about competitive strategy all the time. And in a competitive landscape, you compete against other players that are in the same arena, trying to win the same game as you. Now, there's the argument for the infinite game, which has its place. But for me, I get a lot of fire and a lot of drive out of the acknowledgement of other players in the same arena. There's something that I love about the competition. It's about going onto the field, in this case, the theoretical field, and battling it out. Who is the better team? Who is the better player? Who has the better strategy? Who has what it takes to win? If any of you are like me, then you think about that. You look to your right, you look to your left, you see who's playing, and you wonder how you can beat them. Now, it's not the point of the game. We have longer, more important objectives than just winning. We have mission that we're trying to fulfill. But we can't fulfill that mission if we lose all the time. So to me, winning is important. How do you win? How do you outcompete? There are 4 things that I try to live by. Harder, faster, smarter, longer. It's a mantra that I have for myself that I try to live every single day. Harder, faster, smarter, longer. So, where did I stumble upon this? How did I come up with this? I read Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek, and I was severely disappointed. And not in the way that you think. It's a good book. And Tim Ferriss has done some wonderful things. And I'm grateful that he said what he's said. I'm grateful that he's written the book. But for me, the immediate question was, how do I do this over and over and over and over again in the same week? How do I have a 4-hour work week where I achieved 40 hours worth of stuff? How do I do that twice a day? How do I have an 8 or 9 or a 10-hour day and achieve what most people do in 2 weeks? So for me, that was the equivalent of working smarter and harder. Because you always hear work smarter, not harder. I've always thought, why not work hard and smart? But that's not all. So I came up with 2 more, as I've thought about this for years. Hard, smart, fast, long. The other 2 are very important. If you work hard and you work smart, but you do that in fits and spurts, you're not going to get anywhere. If you do it over a long time horizon, but you're not efficient, and I think that efficient is different than smart, I think it's distinctive enough that it's worth calling out, then you're not going to achieve your potential. Your organization, your team is not going to achieve its potential. So we've got hard, which is just brute effort. If you can't figure that out, you need to go dig a hole, go move rocks, go do something. If you haven't had those types of experiences with manual labor, do that. I think that that's important for everyone to understand. If you've never worked in a kitchen and you're a teenager, get a job in food, at least for a couple months. Food service will change your life, changed mine in many, many ways. Next, if you can't work smart, you're of course going to have some problems. But I think that hard is the foundation. Then we move into smart. And fast is an interesting one. Fast means to me compressing your timeline. It means doing the work with a level of urgency. And urgency is, it may even be a better word than fast. It just doesn't sound as nice. But that's what I think of when I think about working fast. I think about running away from something while simultaneously running towards something. It's this combination of motivations of fear and of attraction. You're getting pulled towards something, which is your vision, your distant goal, some goalpost in the future. And there should be many of those, right? Some that are very short and easily attainable that are right in front of you for momentum. And there should be some goalposts that are so far the hell out there that you can barely see them, but that beckon you and that are big. There are big mountains out there that are calling your name. If you don't have those, I think it's really difficult to keep up the pace in the short term because you've not pointed in a direction that you can sustain for a long time. So that's what I think about when I think about fast. And then long is over what type of timeline can you compete? And over what type of timeline can you consistently put in those inputs? Because if it's a day, whatever, no one cares. If it's a week, that's great. You probably did some meaningful stuff, but it's not going to make a big difference long term. You do it over a month, now you're starting to talk. You do it for a year, that's good. You know, now we're having a conversation. You do it for 5, that's fantastic. You are probably a good chunk ahead of most. If you do it for decades, that is when you really become undeniable. You do that for 10 years, and this is kind of how I think about it. I think about it in terms of the 10 years of silence that a lot of people go through. If you work hard, fast, smart, and long during your 10 years of silence, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with at the end of that 10-year period. And that's what I aspire to do. And then do it again and again and again for 40 years. And who knows, maybe it's 50, 60, 70 more years till I die. But that's the aspiration. So another implication of this framework, for me, that's been super helpful, is if something's not going the way that you want it to go, if you're not competing the way that you want to compete, if you find yourself losing in a category, it's probably because you're doing one of these 4 things to a lesser extent than you could or that you should. And I love being able to look at that and say, which one of these 4 things am I not doing well? Which of these 4 things do I need to ratchet up? I was thinking about that for me just today. Okay, I'm working hard. I'm working smart, best that I know how. I'm working long. I'm not working as fast as I probably could be. I feel the level of urgency, but for me, I think it's a systems thing that I could be getting more done if I had it lined up the right way. And so I've explored some new tools, some new software. I've put that in place and I've seen good gains even over the last 2 weeks. So that's something, some of these new changes that I'll probably sustain. It's helped me work faster. It's also interesting to understand that if you do one of these things well, you'll be okay. You see people out there that just flat out work hard, and they're probably not going to be at the bottom of the pile. It's possible, but it's not terribly likely. I mean, if you work hard enough, you can probably at least squeak by. Not always true, but most often true. You work smart in isolation, yeah, I mean, probably the same thing. And the same goes for the other 2. You can work fast, you can work long. All right. You do 2 of those things in combination. You work hard and you work smart, or you work hard and you work long. You work hard and you work fast. You work fast and you work long. That's a great combination. Any 2 of those, good combination, and you'll get a little bit farther than probably most people. You do 3 of those, you're exceptional, I would say. And you do 4, and you're just a total force. You're a different animal. You're a different beast. You're in a different category, and you will win, given a long enough time horizon. So, food for thought, something that's been on my mind, but do those 4 things, and you'll be able to compete. Harder, faster, smarter, longer. Peace.